I'm going to be proposing some new community policing initiatives that will significantly expand funding and training for local law enforcement, including up to 50,000 additional body-worn cameras for law enforcement agencies.
President Obama has spoken on the need for body cameras worn by law enforcement. But at the same time, he did not fully support the findings of the legal and properly seated grand jury in the Ferguson case. Vacillation at this time is not what America needs. And in the end, it needs to have confidence in the legal system and its law enforcement. To that end, let us welcome into MidPoint National Chairman of the National Black Police Association, which began coincidentally enough in St. Louis in 1972. Malik Aziz joins us today. Malik, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Ed.
In your opinion, as we first look at what happened there, let's set the stage. Would you agree from the police officer side of things that the officer in charge, or the officer in question, Darren Wilson, did everything that his training would let him do, would teach him to do, and would force him to do in a situation that he was placed in?
Well, let me say this, Ed. I don't think he did everything he could possibly do. When you look at situations like this, there are always other options or things that you can do. Departments are trained relatively similar, but some things they do very different. So from the onstart, he had several options that he could have done that maybe would have prevented that kind of encounter. So not to Monday morning quarterback his thoughts, but there certainly are things he could have done better, and certainly things that some officers would not have done.
Do you believe that things would have been markedly different had he been a black police officer shooting an unarmed black man?
Unfortunately, in this culture that we live in police community relations, it possibly would have been slightly different.
Then how do we start getting to this and changing this, Malik? Because as I noted, and we're going to get to body cameras here in a moment, but the president, even he questioned what has gone on. There have been a number of commentators that have questioned what's gone on. And at the same time, we have this incident where we even have lawmakers in Congress raising their hands in a hands-up gesture. And we know now that that was not the case, that that's a lie, that never happened. How do we start to repair when we have so many stories going around that are based on color and many are based on lies?
Well, I wouldn't say that ever happened. I think that testimony was still conflicting. But I will say that this is the culture in which we exist. And how do you change it? Ferguson, as well as like any other department across the nation, Ferguson had a chance to do some things different as well as other departments, and that just didn't start, over 100 days ago. They should have started that months or decades in advance in order to embrace fully community policing and that engagement in community policing, instead of just viewing an entire community, making a sweeping indictment of a whole community that they're hostile and we're just here to police or come only when needed. Community policing is a philosophy that spreads across every police officer, not just one or two, or not just specific units. So in order to build that trust and that transparency, the chief may have been handed down something that was already taken place over many years, and he just didn't progress it. So there are many ways to engage a community, and you don't have to be black to engage a community. I know many officers who are not black or brown, and they care just as much as anybody else. And sometimes they go above and beyond in communities that they have really no vested interest in except for them to be safe. And they do a tremendous job. So all we ever ask for is that people care about the community that they serve. Now, Ferguson could have diversified their department, which would have helped in community relations. You can't have 50 police officers and only 3 be of color and not even on patrol. So they kind of missed the mark on that, and they put themselves in a really bad situation. And once you find yourself in a ditch, Ed, the rule number 1 is to stop digging. Don't keep digging, and just find how can we all work together to get out of a circumstance like that.
I only have about 30 seconds, and we're going to take a break, come back and talk more. But don't you also agree that it's partially the community's responsibility to try and make things better as well? They have to take the steps forward.
Oh, you hit the nail on the head. There's no such thing as police officers or police departments guiding the direction of your community. It's a 50-50 partnership, and you give and you get. So a community has to step up and meet you 50% of the way, and help you resolve the issues that are in their neighborhoods. And most studies say that in Black communities, they desire more police officers to combat crime. And if those studies are correct, then we have to be there to work in partnership with each other. You're absolutely right.
All right, now please stand by because we're going to break. We return with Malik Aziz. We're going to get to more of the core of the issue of race and law enforcement and a couple of current issues that are not in Ferguson that are also not being covered. And at 34 minutes after the hour, the GOP's most daunting task in 2015 and beyond. It's right here on MidPoint.